What's going on, you guys? Today we are in the 2023 Mercedes SL43 AMG. Now the SL43 is actually the base model SL at the moment. We have the 55 and the 63 above this. This comes with a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. It makes 375 horsepower, 354 pound-feet of torque, and it uses an electrically assisted turbocharger to reduce turbo lag. Pretty healthy power and torque figures from a 2-liter, even if this is detuned compared to something like the A45 AMG. But here's the kicker. This 2-door convertible with a soft top weighs 10 pounds shy of 2 tons. That's right, 3,990 pounds. So the weight to power ratio is actually over 10 pounds per horsepower. For a car that costs $110,000 starting, this one is 116 grand. That's not a very good power to weight ratio. And unlike its older brother, the SL43 AMG, this doesn't get a few key performance features, including the active suspension, the active anti-roll bars, as well as the rear axle steering. This uses traditional fixed dampers, and also it's rear-wheel drive only. The SL63 is all-wheel drive. But it does have multi-link front and rear suspension, very sophisticated suspension setup, especially for the front. So we're gonna take this for a drive in the canyons and see how it performs. Can it hide its 2-ton mass? The exterior color of this car, by the way, is hyper blue. It's not the color for me, I have to say, but the overall shape and proportions of this car are fantastic. We're on some 21-inch wheels. They look phenomenal. They're not ideal for ride quality over broken pavement, as I found out over the last few days of daily driving this vehicle. Also, a quick word on the interior. What can I say other than iPad? There's a massive tablet right here in the center console, and you use it to control pretty much everything. Or these very unfortunately designed touch-sensitive buttons on the steering wheel. I'm sorry, but this is over-engineering to the next level. You have to take your eyes off the road basically to do anything, including the climate controls, including turning on your driving assists. Not a great design, and I wish manufacturers would move away from this. I mean, look at Volkswagen with the Mark 8 Golf, the facelifted version. They got away from this touch-sensitive buttons on the steering wheel and gave us back the physical controls. Wonder if Mercedes will follow suit at some point. Very rough idle from this 4-cylinder. It is not a smooth engine. So this also has the AMG drive unit, which gives us these knobs and buttons on the steering wheel. Over-engineered is the word, again, that I would use to describe this. We can use this knob at the right to toggle between Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus. You can hear the exhaust valves open up. And then we have another rotary button here with 2 buttons just to the left. And you would think it's a knob, but it's actually not. It's not like this one. This is actually 2 separate buttons. I can turn my auto engine start and stop off if I want to. I can raise the rear spoiler, traction control, so then you press this button here to put it into sport handling mode. This allows us to go into manual shifting mode. It's just not ergonomically ideal. I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, let's take this thing for a drive. Steering wheel mounted shifter, but we do have these very nice and high quality paddle shifters. Second gear. Very aggressive exhaust burbles on the upshift. Wow. This thing has a very energetic engine and throttle response, I'll give it that. Oh, wow. It feels heavy. It definitely feels heavy. And despite the suspension feeling very firm on normal roads, it feels soft out here. A lot of body roll. The steering also is pretty dead, as you'd expect for a 4,000-pound car with an EPS rack. Oh. It's not easy to push this car hard. It feels a little twitchy. It's traction limited and the front end feels a bit wallowy. The straight line performance actually not bad. Lots of mid-range torque, and this engine has a really good top end for a little turbo 4-cylinder. But the sound it makes I'm not too sure. It sounds like it belongs in a hot hatch, not an AMG product that weighs 2 tons. You would expect the sound of a snarling V8. So if you're used to those AMG products of old, you do kind of have to recalibrate your expectations. The downshifts are really not bad at all. This 9-speed multi-clutch transmission, definitely not the low point of this car. This engine revs to almost 7 grand. Outside of the sound, I'm actually quite a fan of this engine. It has really good power delivery, lots of torque. Oh, but it does feel traction limited. Just there, the traction control cut the power in 3rd gear. Granted, we are on a slightly damp road today. Whoa. Okay. You can just feel every pound of that 4,000 pound curb weight. I really think this would benefit from the same rear axle steering system and active suspension and active anti-roll bars that the SL43 has. Now, I haven't driven that car yet, but this car feels like it needs it because of all that weight. Brakes are a little bit mushy as well. The stopping power's there, but not a whole lot of confidence in that brake pedal. Oh yeah, it's very traction limited. Can barely get on the throttle coming out of 2nd gear corners. Mixed feelings about the driving dynamics of this SL43. It seems just a bit confused, like it doesn't quite know what it's trying to be. Is it trying to be a super luxurious and stylish Grand Tourer with tons of comfort, or is it trying to be an actual sports car? It kind of feels like neither. It has little bits of both sides, but not exactly the best bits of both sides, if that makes sense. It takes a suspension that feels like it should be in a sportier car when you're driving around normally, but then in the canyons, it doesn't do a good job at hiding the weight, and the steering is so numb and lifeless that you really can't trust the car to do what you want it to do. Couple that with the traction limited rear end, and well, let's just say that it's hard for me to drive past around 70% on this road. The transmission's great though. I'll give AMG that. It's a good transmission. Not too far off from a ZF 8-speed in terms of shift speed. All that weight, 4,000 pounds. You just feel it in every single corner. The amount of body roll and the lazy responses of this car. Oh, going over bumps mid-corner, you just feel it do that. It just doesn't want to set. It doesn't feel like a full-fledged AMG product. And granted, it's not. The SL55 and 63, they exist for a reason. This, again, is the base SL at the moment. So from a model hierarchy standpoint, it kind of makes sense. But here's the part that doesn't make sense. $110,000, you would expect a little bit more. At least you would expect a car that's more comfortable to drive on a daily basis. So the SL43 AMG, I would just describe as a confused product. I'm not quite sure what this is trying to be. It has a lot of great components like the engine, the transmission, the interior build quality obviously is excellent. It's what you'd expect from a 6-figure Mercedes. But when you drive it every day as a grand touring machine, it doesn't quite fit the bill. It's a little too stiff. There's a lot of road noise. When you try to hustle it on a canyon road, frankly, it just falls apart. It's too heavy and too soft. Either make it a great grand tourer or a great AMG, and this unfortunately is neither. I'm really curious to try the 55 and especially the 63, to see if the twin turbo V8 combined with those active handling features, I'm curious to see how much that helps that car in the corners compared to this one. But let me know what you guys think of the SL43. What do you think about this new SL generation overall? A big shout out to Mercedes for providing this press car for review, and I'll see you guys in the next one.